Hello and welcome to the Social Recruiting Show. I'm Katrina Collier, social recruiting trainer and speaker. I'm, of course, joined by my gorgeous co-host, Audra Knight, employer branding genius, nerd, or whatever I'm calling her this week. We've got an extra nerd this week, which is super exciting. Danielle Kluge, I'm going to say it correctly, unlike I did on last week's show, senior sourcing nerd at Pontoon Solutions. Welcome to the show. Yay.
Hey, Dani, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Good, thanks for joining us. We usually start by kind of asking a little bit about your background and how you got into sourcing. It's always interesting to hear this.
So I kind of floated around trying to figure out what I wanted to do. And I was working third shift in a transportation office, checking in different truck drivers and their different shipments. So I was on Craigslist. I found an opportunity to become a technical researcher, and that's kind of how I fell into it. Just happened to be that way. And he's like, "Do you like to Google stuff?" I was like, "Yeah." So he hired me, my past position that I was in. And I just ran with it. It was a really old school agency. So pretty much I had to learn how to develop what type of sourcing techniques and technical research outlets that we wanted to utilize. And so that's kind of how I became passionate about what I do, and just wanted to always learn, and it's pretty cool. So I ended up getting laid off from that company, but then I found Pontoon, which is where I'm at now. It's a great company, and we have a great team here where we just bounce ideas off of each other all the time, and it's really helped me grow a lot. And I just love, like, I'm really nerdy, as you can see, because I'm like the sourcing. but I just really love to learn. What's that?
How big is your team?
I think we've got about 20 people on our team right now, or give or take. We're just growing and expanding.
Or recruiters and sources.
We have 20 sourcers, and then we've got about 180 people here in Toledo, and we're a global company, so we're kind of all over the place too with all of that. So.
Oh wow, cool! I love the way you actually applied for a sourcing job. I thought people just fell into it by accident every time.
Yeah, well, I didn't know what it was. I was like, yeah, that sounds cool. And then I learned what it was afterwards, pretty much. So
I think everybody likes to Google. This is this whole conversation we were having before the show. It's like, but for some reason we think just the sources want to Google, which I always find interesting. Steve has a question for later. This is a good question for now. At Pontoon, when does sourcing start and recruiting begin, as in sources and stalkers?
I mean, really, they'll post the position, our recruiting team, and if they're not seeing a lot of traction, that's when they engage the sourcing team. From there, we'll post externally, and then we'll just deep dive on sourcing. And, if it's a more high volume account, a lot of times they'll start with Career Builder, Indeed, etc. Because that's just easier when it's high volume. And then, I do more of the strategic type of stuff. So deep diving within like social media and LinkedIn, obviously, and Google, pretty much anywhere.
With the eye roll. That was beautiful. I wish I could have just made a GIF out of that.
You actually do like kind of marketing and sourcing.
I'm not an emailer.
Say that again, Audra?
Yeah, Dani, it's interesting because in a way you kind of do the marketing and sourcing, because you said you'll advertise at places, but you'll also source. So you do both. Because I don't see that a lot of sourcers.
Well, it's just getting the word out. It's not really branding per se. So I just like to network. I think networking is a huge part of sourcing. I mean, you can't find people if you don't network. I feel like a lot of the time that's how I've met Katrina in a way. So.
Internet stalking. No, I think it was Instagram stalking.
Yeah.
I don't know. Typical. Like I've been asked so many times in this last week, how did you guys end up doing this show? And I'm like, you have to ask Audra. I don't remember. I think she found Twitter and we got chatting, and I don't know. I really don't know.
I pitched the idea to you and you were like, that sounds fun.
Yeah, and here we are 2.5 years later. We'll be up for our 100th show in a few weeks. It's extraordinary.
Oh, that's crazy.
It's really interesting though that it's like that it doesn't go straight to sourcing. I heard you guys have got really low unemployment. So surely, I don't know, I find that strange. Is there a reason that they...
Well, that's why, because if you have low unemployment, you're not getting a lot of traction coming in. So that's when they need your team, right?
Yeah, but they seem to do that and then pass it over, not just pass it over at intake.
That's what you're saying.
Yeah, generally, I mean, we'll take over it at some point pretty much within 2 to 5 days. I mean, if it's like a high populated area, a lot of times, I mean, you'll see a lot of people applying, and the recruiters will handle that, and then we'll engage with sourcing. So then we'll go out and we'll find them people. So.
Okay, that's fair enough. So what is this responsive sourcing that we're going to chat about? That Audra certainly knows nothing about, and I'm curious about.
Just one of my passions is just being really responsive to my candidates, you know, just really engaging with them. You know, if somebody is wanting to know what's going on with this position I worked with them on, just responding to them. Sometimes I get responses like, oh my God, I can't believe you even responded to me. Oh my God, that was a quick response. And I think it's just being human to people, you know, it's like I've been on the other side.
Is that?
Yeah.
I can't believe you even respond. I'd never want to hear that. That's awful. It's great that you're getting that, but they shouldn't be getting that, should they?
Yeah, and I mean, even, you know, I've applied to jobs and I don't even know what's happening, or, you know, I just think it's good to be in touch with people because, you know, it just sucks because you're sitting there wondering what the hell is happening. And then if you're in touch with them, then they know what's up. So
are we talking about people that you've talked to, or just everyone that's applied?
No, so the people that apply, they go right to the recruiters. This is people, like, since I'm strategically speaking with everyone, it's the people that I've engaged with. So when I'm reaching out to them, I like to be personable when I'm reaching out to them and create a connection and just let them know I'm always there for them if they have any questions, you know, if I can update them at all. It's something that I really am passionate about.
Do you think that's because you came from that agency background? Because when I switched from agency to in-house, I was so excited for them still. I still had that feeling like you really want to place them and really want to fill the role. Do you think that's why? Or it's just,
I think it's just
courtesy?
It's just my personality personally. I think it's just something I've always believed in, is just being good to others. And I think that's just a part of it.
So how does that work when you then struggle with maybe hiring managers who are being asked and not replying, or recruiters, or because you're in only one section of the process, right? Mm-hmm. Have you got any tricks you can share on how you've partnered with them or made the process easier? Or?
I think for me, I really just want to let my recruiter that I'm partnering with, like, here's what sourcing's all about. Like when I first joined the internal team, it was a different team at that point, and they didn't even know what sourcing was all about. They had such a bad experience with sourcing prior to me joining the internal team that they said to the recruiters, go ahead, do your own sourcing, because sourcing doesn't know what they're doing. It was bad. So it's really yeah. So to me, it's really just establishing, okay, what is the issue here? Like, why do you think sourcing's bad? What was the issues you've had before? And how can we fix this? And how can I prove to you that sourcing is a very good outsource and a very good something that will benefit you? Because we want to create a streamlined process. Like, I'm going to reach out to the candidate. They're going to be interested, and I'm going to find the right people for you, because that's what I do. And that's another thing I'm very passionate about, is I will find these people. So then I'll pass them off to the recruiter and create a good relationship. And it might be that you got to stay in contact with them, like, constantly. I've had recruiters that it's who they are. They need to know what happened now, yesterday, tomorrow. And then there's other recruiters that you have to be like, hey, here's what's happening on your end. So
dare I ask what the sourcing team was doing before that wasn't great? Because I'm curious, obviously you're not doing that.
I think it was just a lack of skill set training. I'm not sure what it was exactly. You know, it's very niche roles that we're seeking. And if you don't fully understand how to locate the right people or companies that you need to target, like as a competitor company, I think that's a lot of it too. And it's, you know, we deal with a lot of RPO and MSP. So I think a lot of people have to learn how to understand really what that is. And so I think it's really just a part of that. And I don't think it's anyone's fault per se. I just think that experience has created that opinion. So
no,
and it was a misunderstanding.
So it came down to they needed training and help. And it's funny how sometimes they put the function in place and just expect them to know. And it's sometimes they need help to know how to source. If that makes sense.
Yeah. So, I mean, we've got a lot of good trainings going on now since then. So that's good. So
yeah, that helps. What's going on?
But I think,
Audra?
I have a question about tools. are you using just like basic tools like Excel to put them in, or do you have like fancy CRM? I'm just curious. You don't have to say names.
Goodness.
Just curious. What kind of tools do you use?
Well, you know, when it comes to tools, I'm not like a huge, like I use all of the tools person. You know, I think it's just being pretty basic and reaching out to people, whether it's a phone call, email. So like I use Hire tools sometimes to get email addresses. And if I'm on LinkedIn, I don't InMail. I don't believe in InMailing unless I have to.
Poor LinkedIn. Did they just get bashed?
But I'll connect with people and then I'll reach out to them that way. I get better responses that way, or I will find them on Facebook and message them through Facebook a lot of times.
Oh my God. Tell me more about that, because I get so much resistance to that. Holy crap. Tell me. Do you send them videos?
Yeah.
Or do you just write the messages? Or Dani's
so
short of Sarah, like seriously?
That's awesome. Yeah, I want to hear if it works too.
So like a lot of times, you know, people, they just aren't hanging out on their on their LinkedIn, but they're hanging out on Facebook. So I use the search intelligence tool sometimes to locate these people, and then message them. And a lot of times, like I'll email them, I'll call them. There's no responses. InMail them. I mean, if I have to, because like I said, I'm not an InMailer. And then I'll just message them through Facebook, and voila, they're like hired in a week.
Right. It's like,
So I mean, that's where everyone's at. Like literally, I did a presentation on this like last year sometime, and it was like there's 2 billion people on Facebook, and there's 7 billion people in the world, or maybe 5 billion. It's insane, the statistics though. And I was like, hey guys, no one's hanging out on LinkedIn.
we're at 7 billion on the world, 4 billion on the internet, and 2.4 billion on Facebook, something like that.
Yeah, thank you.
But it's honestly, it's the resistance that I get when I'm talking about this. I'm like, and you feel like, because usually it's when I'm speaking and stuff, and you can feel the whole room going, oh no, we can't. It's just like, it's how you do it, isn't it? I mean, you've got your job title on your profile, you've got your profile picture that shows who you are, you're sharing good stuff. It's not like you've got your genuine friends. So how about the messaging themselves? Do you just send a message, or do you send videos, or I hope you don't send memes.
I'll send messages. What's that?
You should do memes. Why not?
I know, just joking.
Yes, I love memes.
But those
I recently saw there was the article like in the UK that was like, you can't do memes anymore, okay? So I was like, no.
What article?
Did you guys see that article?
No.
Yeah, they're trying to shut memes down. I'll send it to you guys.
Oh, how miserable.
Yeah. It's horrible. So anyways, but yeah, I'll just go in and message them.
So do you just say like, hey, let's chat? I know that I have the right role, or what kind of stuff?
Yeah, I mean, I just reach out to them. I say, hey, Joe, I've got this opportunity. I'm seeking like a recruitment manager in the San Jose market. Here's the link to view this job description. And if it sounds of interest to you or anyone you know, just let me know. And generally it works. I'm not the person that goes out and I'll write like a detailed thing. Like, I saw that you went to school for la-da-da, you've been doing this for 7 years, because I feel like if you're interested, then you're going to be interested. And that's how it works for me. So.
Yeah. No, you don't have an account, Audra.
Oh, good. One question. On Facebook now, if you're not friends with them, does it still go in that separate box, or do they get it as a regular?
Yeah, it will go on the request.
Okay, but they didn't. It sounds like it works. They still see it.
Yeah.
You get a Facebook message request. The only time you'll end up in that is like if they haven't got any friends, so they haven't filled their bio out, if they're like really obviously just writing hi or something, and then they get blocked, and then they end up. But if it's a genuine message and your profile's all filled out, that won't happen. Yeah. I'm going to answer Sarah's question here. It'd be cool to utilize Instagram somehow. Any suggestions? Well, we could talk about your memes in a sec. Yes, you can source on Instagram, no problems whatsoever. You can X-ray it. But when you message them, the messages really are tucked away. So as a preference, I would message on Facebook, because I have messages and I don't see them for days, and I'm on Instagram all the time. So
yeah,
they're going to change that.
But from a branding, I mean, using corporate hashtags and stuff point of view, it's very cool. But you're like the queen of it, aren't you, Dani? Oh, I'm actually in your profile right now.
Yeah, I do that a lot. You know, with the hashtags, I haven't gotten a lot of responses on Facebook, but I've gotten a lot of responses on Twitter.
Oh, explain.
You have on Twitter?
Mm-hmm.
Do you mean from your gifts and stuff?
Yeah. Yep.
So explain. Sorry, because I missed some of it.
Oh, I mean, I'll just post my GIF or meme or maybe even just the job title with hashtags, and I get some responses on Twitter as well. So they'll like message me or follow me and message me through there.
Cool.
So
That's
yeah,
really
and
cool.
I've had a couple of hires that way as well.
Wow. Which is quite funny because so many people think Twitter's dying and it's actually growing. So it's interesting, isn't it?
Do you
I
source
think
on?
no, Twitter has like gone up and down. I think so, but
Yep. Do you source on Twitter, or do you find them at like LinkedIn or Google, and then find them on Twitter using their name?
Sometimes I use Twitter sometimes to source. I think it's good to use. I go to this website called Recruiting, and it's cool. You can type in all the keywords, or you can go right to Twitter and source that way as well and find people. But it's cool because you get different results that way. So
it's called Recruiting.
Yep, recruitum.net.
So Rob has a question. Do people actually put their jobs on, so their occupations on Facebook and Twitter? Yeah, they sure do.
A lot of them do. I always see them.
Yeah, so I use Manage Flitter on Twitter, which is really cool for searching buyers, just because it's got this thing where you can be lazy and hover over it to see if they're active. And Facebook, yes. Currently, the search tool, I know you mentioned intelligent search before, it's not working because Facebook made a change behind the scenes. You actually need to X-ray to find people. But it is working. And I think the more they prompt people to fill out their job titles, the more they do. But of course, you can find people by groups and all sorts of stuff. Tons of ways.
Like Twitter, I think it's probably hit or miss for actually putting your job title. Where Facebook, they ask you for it. It's more obvious.
Yeah, when I'm searching on Twitter, a lot of times it's just keywords because it might be something they're tweeting about. So like if it's an IT role that needs like Ruby experience, you can search Ruby and, maybe not New York City because that's like a gigantic city, but.
Or I start in GitHub and go over there to keep in touch with them.
Yeah.
Steve, who lives in New York, is going, nah. It's really small. Oh yeah, getawards.com. But then that's only the very best, isn't it? What if you want someone that's just normal, Steve? Have you heard of the Get Awards for looking for developers? Yeah, the GitHub Awards. Yeah.
Interesting.
But because that's the best of the best. Yeah, I know everyone's talented people, but you need to have the talented work for them to go into.
Hey, Dani, I have one question. Do you actually friend them on Facebook ever, or no? Just message them?
No, that's like taking it to an extra stocky level if you try to friend them, I think. So.
Yeah. I was just curious. Yeah. But that might change in the future, maybe 5-10 years from now, who knows? But for now, it's definitely.
No. So Rob's asked you, is it certain people in certain occupations? The Twitter, I guess, and Facebook.
I think that, you just do a search and it's whoever pops up. So, I mean, you might use keywords, you might use job titles, and then search the city, you might use the zip code, radius.
Yeah. I like that on Twitter, you can search their tweets to see what they're talking about. Is it the same with Facebook? Are you just searching their profile, or can you search what they're talking about?
Search the main box.
Yeah. Actually, you're right. I've seen
the public post.
Yeah, they might not list their job or occupation to the public, so that's the only problem. Like sometimes that pops up, you might not see it because of that. So. But I mean, you still see enough people, I feel like. So.
So we're having a whole what kind of engineers conversation down the side here, because I'd be curious to know what kind of engineers he's looking for. Electronic, mechanical, Facebook. When the tool starts working again. They're doing a workaround because Facebook recruiters themselves use the Facebook search tool, and Facebook made a change to the URL. So
I'm sorry. Another thing you can do is look at like different conferences. So I know we work with like one of our accounts is like a nursing account. So we were looking for physical therapists, and there might be like a physical therapist conference in Minneapolis. So now you can see who's attending that and get candidates that way as well. So.
Yeah, definitely.
Now, how do you see who's attending that? I know Steve knows, but I don't. How do you actually find out who's attending?
Oh, if you just click to like who's going, who's interested, that's usually how I view, and then I'll just message them that way.
So that's public if you say you're going to a conference?
Yeah, I think for the most part, yeah.
Like on Eventbrite or where? Like a Facebook event?
all on a Facebook event. Yeah.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Do a lot of conferences have their own Facebook event? I guess so.
Oh, that's really cool. I'd not thought of that.
Yeah. So
I have seen it. I have definitely seen it. And you're right.
Yeah.
And then you can go in and see. But don't you have to join it's a group, really? No, it's an event.
Yeah, the events.
yeah,
for
so like
events.
example, we had an open house here recently. So there was many people that said they were gonna go and they were interested, and like I think only 2 people came. But I had this whole list of people now that I can message.
Nice.
I mean, no, we had a lot of people come to the conference or to the open house, but not because of the Facebook event. So anyway, we just messaged
Yeah, that did sound
everybody
sad
through.
there for a minute, Dani. These visions that there was you and there's just
people.
2 people having a beer.
Yeah, no, that made it sound totally wrong. No, we had a very good turnout.
Yeah. No, that's actually really cool. I not actually thought to go that way, but of course, if they've got it there and people are writing that they're free.
I think Facebook events are one way that Facebook is better than Instagram. And there's lots of ways Instagram is better. I know everyone argues, but the events, they're key for recruitment teams, for my band. I mean, the events are huge because you just don't have that on other platforms yet. Could change.
Yeah.
Oh, LinkedIn used to have events.
Did they? I guess I
Yeah.
remember.
Back in the day, so I think I joined in something like 2004, 5, 6, something like that. I have no idea, can't remember. I know I joined on Valentine's Day, but can't remember what year. And they used to have events, and it used to be amazing because if you're looking for a job or you want to network, you would go to the business network to see the business event that you wanted to go to. And in their wisdom of looking after the people on the site, they got rid of it years ago. And it was one of their dumbest moves ever. So people now just go to Eventbrite or they go to Facebook events. So crazy.
I like too how cheap it is to promote them. If you can just say like boost the event or promote, I forget the word is.
Yeah.
You spend like
so
$5 and like hundreds of people in the area could see your event. It's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think recruitment teams could use those more and more for career fairs or for like even online things that they're doing, like an online stream or something, question and answer.
Erica Hughes has written here, many colleges and associations post events on Facebook for job fairs and statewide and national conferences, free promotion for their event. And
good sourcing for you, right?
I don't know what Steve has posted. I don't understand that.
ASME. We'll have to check it out.
Oh, that must be for the event.
Yeah.
Scraping Eventbrite's also fun. You're a proper stalker, Steve, aren't you?
Yeah,
Is that a group that you put on there, Steve? I think the only thing with going into the groups to source is some people think if I go in there, I just post a job, then 245,000 people see it, but that's not the case.
Yeah, and you can piss people off if you just jump in and post it.
Yeah.
But you also have to join the group. They have to let you join, and if your title is recruiter, they might not. They might, or they might. You never know. But it's a little trickier. Some groups are picky.
Yeah.
I'm very concerned about what's going to happen if Dani can't post memes.
Yeah.
Can we still
that would
have
work
gifts?
for me. If you want to hire me, send me a meme. I love it.
It's so much more fun. And everybody, so when I first started here, I worked on our Deco IT account, which was hiring our Deco internal IT team. So that's when I posted all the memes and everyone loved them, to the point that when I switched accounts and I couldn't do memes anymore, my whole LinkedIn network, it was like, where are your memes? Like, they were the highlight of my day. Like, they were so upset. And then the whole algorithm changed. So then that was a whole different story. So.
Yeah. Funny, isn't it?
Yep.
Yeah.
And I think people do get really used to, like, if you're producing certain content all the time. So, like, Mark Mansell, he's a recruiter in Australia. He does the daily, it's like train crimes. He's calling it Trains of Our Lives. And he'll just, like, make a funny joke about his commute. But people expect it. So they like tune in. So it's not good.
Can you do GIFs now on LinkedIn, or is that just the LinkedIn messages? I think it's the messages.
I think it's just messages, yeah.
Yeah. It's just it could get a little crazy if everyone's posting GIFs on LinkedIn.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Might make up for the videos. There's some bad videos.
There's some awesome ones too. I'm still in love with that one you hated, Katrina.
No,
that guy
for me. No, this was just, Dani, it was wrong. It was so wrong.
It
So a question here. We'll dig it out for you afterwards. I've forgotten what it is. So Ashley Edwards has asked a question. What do you use to stay current on sourcing trends?
Ooh, good question.
Oh, well, back to Facebook. I really, really love to be in all of those groups. It's a really, all of them are just fabulous communities just to see what everybody else is up to. I think that's the best way, honestly. And I really love, you know, you can follow all the websites like SourceCon. That's a really good one, obviously. Recruiting blogs, they're all out there. Really good webinars that you can be a part of. I mean, there's so many that I really only join the ones that are important, such as like Katrina's.
Like the social recruiting show.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I really think the Facebook groups are really good. I think there's, I can name them, but I'm blanking right now because I had a migraine yesterday and I sometimes get migraine brain.
Oh no. So yeah, so Steve's named a few. So the Secret Sourcing Group, SourceCon, the Employer Branding Forums, obviously that way. Sources Who Code though is very geeky. I quite like the growth hacking group though, that's completely separate. Like it's still recruitment, but it's in a whole different added, you know, it's more about visibility of posts and things like that, which I sort of wonder the point of sometimes, but that's just my skepticism. But it still has some really interesting stuff in there. Yeah.
Well, the only thing we didn't mention was conferences too. I find that's a good way to just keep up with what's happening.
Yeah.
Have you made it to SourceCon yet?
No, it's like my silly like daydream to go, but I haven't. I just haven't had the personal costs. My company hasn't sent me. So.
Seattle. We'll get you to Seattle because that's the next.
Yeah. Also, one trick is if you blog for them. I think it's if you do 4 or 5 blogs, you can get a free ticket. 8. Then you get a free ticket though.
Oh, so I'm sure it's 8.
Oh, he's saying 6. We don't know.
I think the return is just enormous. So I had, so my speaker buddy at SourceCon in Budapest, so I got to bring somebody for free. So cool. She won her place. She went back and within a week made a placement off what she'd learned. So you're just going, yeah. And
who was your speaker buddy?
It's gorgeous because she's actually coming to Uganda with me as well. So Ellie Brown. Oh. So yeah, but it was her name came out, and I had to do it twice because the first person pulled out. And her name came out, and I'm just going, oh my god, that's so cool because you're going to Uganda. And she's actually from a HR background, but is uber into the sourcing. So that was really, really cool. It was really good. Yeah.
What's the welcome wagon? I've heard about that. What's the details on that SourceCon welcome wagon?
But basically, they have people who are familiar with the conference and sourcing. Mind you, Vanessa Rath came up from South Africa and was on it and wasn't familiar with it. But just to help people feel really comfortable. So, you know, they'll answer all the silly questions like where's the loo and stuff like that, but also to make sure they know when the sessions are warm margaritas. But they just create this whole sense of comfort. So people know exactly where they're going at what time, what's going on, and they can ask silly questions and not feel like they're asking silly questions. It's just nice. So it's quite cool.
And Steve's saying that might be a way to kind of get yourself into speaking.
Yeah.
To know people too.
Yeah, and sort of, I think the whole, because, hi, Carrie, the whole point of SourceCon is that community, isn't it? So the writing is, you know, a great way as well. So.
Yeah, that was the same with the conference I was just at, but it was all employer branding people. But they just became this cool community. I love that conferences are more like that. We are getting to be friends, and it's not just going, learning, taking notes, and going home. Like people are actually getting to know each other. It's awesome.
That's awesome. I love that.
I think as well, I think sometimes it's nice to come out of the silo as well. So you're sitting in your gorgeous office with your gorgeous view that you really do need to show us, because I'm forever seeing the photos of the birds out the window. You're in your silo, right? So to get out and suddenly go, oh, wow, like all of the recruiters across America are having this problem, or, oh, they're using, you know, they've got these ideas. And it's so much more than what people think. So I just think it's.
Yeah, and I maybe can't get the company to send you to. There are ones that do virtual conferences. It's not quite the same, but you can still at least learn from people, and you're not going to make those friends, but it can be valuable with new resource, learning new things, what's happening.
Yeah.
Andrea, you just have to come to Europe. It's going to be in Amsterdam next year.
Why don't they have a SourceCon over in APAC? Why not?
Because they've already just come to Europe, so they're heading east.
It's a matter of time.
Yeah,
they will.
Yeah. I know
they should have an Australian one.
Oh, it's not the Andrea I thought it was. I don't think so. Is that Andrea Mato? I'm not sure. Mato, I might have pronounced that incorrectly. It's actually quite hard to get conferences off the ground in Asia itself as well. So I know from others who've tried. So like SOSU. But yeah, I mean, obviously there's ATC and SOSU in Sydney and in Australia and New Zealand, but just that middle.
Interesting.
Maybe it's a cultural thing. Maybe it's a language thing. I don't know. We tend to be shocking and go, it's easy for it to be in English. So.
Yeah.
Crazy. Is that someone you know writing that comment?
No.
So going back to the responsive sourcing. So obviously it's very important to keep in touch with candidates and that kind of thing. I want to know like what you do if you've got a hiring manager that's being like difficult.
What if you give this amazing person you've been so responsive to them and they just drop the ball? What do you do?
Well, you know, a lot of times I don't honestly see that portion because that is like once I pass them to the recruiter is the one that's dealing more with hiring manager on that level. So, I mean, if the hiring manager is displeased and they just really need to see more candidates, that's when I put myself into what I call hyper gear. And then I just blast my heavy metal and find the people that are correct for this position and pass like 8 of them over, hopefully within the day. So
you pass them right to the hiring manager? Or no, to the
No, to the recruiter. And then the recruiter will, of course, you know, do its process. So.
Yeah.
So do you, oh, sorry.
Okay.
I was going to say,
so you don't ever like chat with them?
We're saying the same thing.
like months later, if they don't get hired, do you ever connect with them again? Keep in touch, or is it?
Oh yeah. I think that's a really huge part of it too. You know, you just stay in touch with them. You know, you never know if something else can align later. Like a lot of times, if they're actually not what the hiring manager is looking for because they're looking for more experience, we might have a role like a month later that's a little bit lower experience, and it might be what that person is. And then I'm like, oh, Joe, that's right, I remember him. I have a very good memory with these types of things, so I can send that guy on over. And I think too, it's another thing I really like to do is if somebody is overqualified, I'll just reach out to them and say, hey, thanks for connecting with me, or hey, thanks so much, you know, for whatever. I mean, I might not say thank you, so because it might be like through Facebook, but or like an email. Hey, I just wanted to connect with you to see if you happen to know anybody that might be a good quality engineer. And actually, you know, you might think people will be like, well, why would they ever respond to that? They don't even freaking know you. And actually, I get a tons of responses, and they're just happy to help, you know, because we're all here to help each other. So that's how I view it.
There must be something in your approach, though.
Yeah, it might be. I mean, it might be my personality just coming out on paper, probably.
Yeah, maybe. Or just like getting all excited about these sourcing tunes being heavy metal down the side here.
Yeah, that's not what I pictured with sourcers.
I coined sourcing jams. So feel free to hashtag sourcing jams. And if you look on Twitter and Instagram, you'll probably find all of my sourcing jams.
Yeah, I'm not really sure that my 80s pop is going to go well with your heavy metal. But anyway, I just realized why I get bored sourcing, because I don't have a good memory. So now I understand. There's clearly one, because I know it's curiosity, but I get, yeah.
Do you store their names like in Excel or anywhere, or you just have them all in your head?
Oh no, they are actually, I store them in our CRM Avatar. Yeah. So a lot of times I'll just pipeline them. Like if they're overqualified, I might put them in my pipeline and then just like tag them as like what kind of role they are. I might leave a note. I reached out to Joe to see if he knows anyone for this role, blah, 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 blah. And then a lot of times when you do that, you get down the line and they're like, hey, I'm looking for a quality manager position. Do you have anything available? You know, because you made that connection. So it's pretty cool because you create that connection. And I think that's a lot of what strategic sourcing is really all about.
Yeah. Hey, I'm going back to the hiring managers because I actually did have a different question to Audra. I thought we were asking the same thing. Do you ever go and sit with your hiring managers then, if they are pushing back so much? Do you go and get the information firsthand rather than by a recruiter, or?
Most of the time, I tell my recruiters that it's a requirement for me that I sit in with the intake. So whether it's a phone call or we're meeting together, I feel like it's a requirement, and I try to make it a requirement. Sometimes they're too busy, or they say so at least, you know, for me to join. But I try to make it a requirement because I think a lot of times you see the job description, you see the notes from your recruiter, the intake notes, but it's the small things that your hiring manager is saying that are going to help you find that candidate. And it's those preferences that they aren't going to share on that job description or in those notes that I can find the exact person or that hiring manager is looking for.
Yeah,
I love it. I think that's key.
Yeah.
That's like you said, there can be so much more to the job description. Or some of them might copy it just from somewhere else online, and it's not even what's in their head, I imagine.
Yeah.
Here's a question I missed before when we were back on Facebook. See, it's in it good. It's Friday, so we can jump all over the place. If it was Monday, we'd have to be so much more strategic. So Alexis asked a question. Do you have one profile for personal and professional, or separate profiles on Facebook?
Profile? Oh, Facebook.
Do you have one profile?
I know
yeah. So in other words, you have one profile separate on Facebook.
To me, I think this is my own personal opinion. I know there's a lot of people that have two profiles, and that's their own thing. But how I like to roll is just having one profile, because I want them to see, here's a picture of me with my fiance, because I'm a real person. And, you know, I might post things to public, like here's the jobs I'm looking for, or here's some great articles about like candidates and recruiting and how to interview, etc. And then the things that are private, of course, are the things that my friends will see. And I think it's better just to do it that way, because they're not like, you have only like 7 friends and you're reaching out to me, this is a little suspicious, you know?
And the ones that are really branded, they have the like the branded banner, and they're like, oh, seriously.
I've never accepted those for friend requests.
No.
I mean, or I feel like people
delete the message as well, or at worst report it as spam, and then that end up all of those Facebook message requests wouldn't go through. So I think what you said is absolutely best practice. So how many friends do you need to be credible? I don't know, more than 7.
Well, it doesn't matter how many friends.
I hope that you have more than 7 friends, but you can always friend me if you need a friend.
You can have me too, Rob. We'll take care of you.
But it's not just friends. It's the profile, like you said, and it's if there's mutual connections. There's so much more than just how many friends.
I mean, I think mine's ridiculous because I've just hit 1,000.
Things, you know,
Yeah. But I mean, I just hit 1,000, and I'm like, that's just dumb, right? I don't technically know the 1,000 people there, right? I don't, because I have people's birthdays come up. I'm like, I don't know who that is. So I think the normal is about 300 to 500, isn't it? Just for what?
Yeah.
And normal.
There came a point for me. I had that many, Katrina, and I ended up like, when it was someone's birthday, I would unfriend them because I'm like, we're not even friends. And thank you for the notification that you're still on my friends list somehow.
That's a good way to scrub your list if that comes up and you don't know.
I know, but that might be mean. I might scrub the wrong person. I might upset someone. That's actually really good thinking. Sometimes I accept friend and unfollow, which is even worse. I know, I'm one of those.
That's funny. They're all like all happy. Yay, we're friends. And
I'm just hitting your post. Yeah. No, but I think it's that funny thing where you see everyone's posts, don't you? You see so many. A coward. Thanks, Debbie. I know. I'm the worst. But I think it's that thing where you just see only their posts initially. And you're just like, I'd be happy to see one a day, not 20 a day. So
that's true.
Makes it complicated.
Facebook is getting good at that, though. Oh, well, I was curious about Twitter. Is it the same? You just have one profile, not like a work one and a personal?
Yeah, I think that it's good to be personable. And I mean, that's just what I base my whole sourcing experience on. I think it's just something you have to be, at least for me, because it's just how I get my responses. So I think just being a human, and you're human, I'm human. So what's up?
And it's we want to chat to you.
Right. We don't go to work and just talk about work. Like, people don't launch straight into that conversation. They talk about all sorts of other stuff. So I think it depends on your personality profile. What are you saying, Rob?
Yeah, I can't see any good reason for a separate account myself, but maybe there's people with success with it. It's just boring. No one wants to connect.
It's too much hard work.
And that.
Right.
Good point. If you run 2 accounts. And it's illegal, isn't it?
Yeah, technically, yeah.
Yeah, Facebook can shut you down. Or your other friends might see it and then flag it, and then it gets shut down because they're like, who the hell is that?
Yeah,
they think someone stole your...
Facebook it is, LinkedIn it is. Instagram it's not though, I don't think.
Or Twitter. You can have as many Twitters as you want, I think.
Yeah, and I think with Instagram, I actually think it's quite a good idea, particularly if you've got kids, to actually have a really locked down account for that, and then have a separate one that is just your more worky side or more open side. Well, to protect the kids, I don't think there should be photos of young children going out there so willy-nilly. I don't know. Maybe I'm being paranoid, but also I think it's just easier to have two on there. But yeah, it's interesting. Michelle Vance wants to know what your Instagram is, Audra. Because it's not Audra.
Mine's pretty locked. Mine's super locked down because I had some issues with some weirdos. So I just locked it down.
My God! Yes, the cast. Oh, I'd forgotten about that.
So
when Audra had her cast, she got stalked by somebody who had a cast fetish. So apparently,
lots of people, multiple.
Yeah.
Oh my God!
Anyway,
I think it had a lot to do with her bare naked leg above the cast, personally, but you know.
So I shut it down. Well, it's still there, but I don't use it much.
I love it because I have an IFT set up, so all of my images, just the photos, the videos and the multiple photos don't, but the images, just the single ones, go straight out onto Twitter. So I get to
that is nice.
Yeah, because as long as you use that hat.
But I hate when people do it from Instagram to Facebook, because then I go on from Facebook to Instagram, and it's all the same stuff, and I'm like, I've already seen this all on Facebook. So that's
Actually, I'll share the IFT because someone asked me about it the other day.
Yeah, for some reason it works fine. It's great on Twitter, but I think it's because there's so many more tweets. You're not seeing the exact same stuff, or it works. It's nice. Yeah,
but you've got to set up a hack. Otherwise, if you use the Twitter button on Instagram, it will go as a link.
It looks awful.
So this is my favorite applet. Ashley's asked a good question. What sourcing metrics has your team got?
Ooh, that's a good one.
Oh, that's a very big question. So we have different accounts, and really it will depend on which account you're on. What are the SLAs and the KPIs that are regarded to what sourcing is regarded to, what recruiting is. It really depends on what account looks like. Maybe you only have 20 recs generally open on the account. Maybe you only have thousands of recs, not only, but so really it just depends on that. It may be that that they have to have this many contacts, reach out to this many candidates per week. It might be that. For me personally, it's that I will at least submit at least 3 qualified candidates to my recruiter each week, and that I would have at least, each week, each rec, 3 quality candidates for each rec.
Otherwise, I want your job because it doesn't sound like high pressure.
Now, is there a time frame though?
It's a challenge sometimes, and that's fine because I love a challenge. So
yeah. Is there a time frame, like 3 within a certain time, or just before they get desperate?
It's pretty much just ASAP. So if they each week I check in with all my recruiters and see what recs they want me to source on. So I try to have at least those recs filled by the end of the week, or like submitted that many by the end of the week. And then for hires, I'm supposed to have at least 3 hires a week, which sometimes, it changes because it's internal. So there's a lot of internal promotions. Yeah. So sometimes I don't really hit that metric, but a lot of the people that I sourced are moving from internal position to a promotion internally. So that's still pretty good. So
it sounds like a lot.
Can you explain that again? You're internal, you're finding people internal?
Yeah, I work for an internal team. So I'm helping fill Pontoon positions. So I might source someone, they get hired, and then they get promoted later. So a lot of times you're having internal promotions, and then those people are promoted. So then my sourced candidates, or I don't need to have sourced candidates in that case. So a lot of times that affects my hires because of that. So, which is fine because it's still a person that I sourced initially. So
yeah, that's awesome.
Andrew's got an interesting question as well. So any extends or accepts measure? Is that like extended offer versus accepted offer? I guess is what that means. Do you have a measure on that? We have to hit as well. Oh, how interesting.
Or is it kind of like you submitted them and that's...
No, what I meant. So extended offer versus, what a curly question. Ooh. You're in the hot seat today.
I see.
So to extend recruiter research. Okay. And we are measured on hires and calls per month.
That is tough. Wow.
Wow.
Hires, because you might submit really great candidates and it just isn't the right fit. That's tough. But I mean, it's interesting.
So you just work your ass off and do your sourcing job. I mean, I feel pretty expertise at what I do. I'm not trying to, hype myself up or anything, but I mean, you eventually get it sorted out and, it's like messing around with your booleans or maybe the target companies or the right profile. So I'm pretty confident and generally I do a pretty good job at it without like sounding too haughty.
So what do you do when you are struggling to find someone because the hiring manager is being unreasonable, the recruiter is being unreasonable? I mean, I take it you say like your stuff. Are they aware you know your stuff?
A lot of times it might be that I need to provide market research analytics.
Yeah.
And, here's what's happening in this market. Here are the amount of people that have this position to how many positions are generally open in a month. Like it's a crazy ratio. It might be, you want to pay this, but really what you should be paying is this. So
where do you get those stats?
We use different tools. So we have a team that actually creates those for us. And then we also utilize like Wanted Analytics or Talent Neuron now. Career Builder supply and demand sometimes is beneficial. You can use Indeed as well. So I think a lot of times for myself, it's just networking with people initially and, seeing what's out there. And if it's salary related, it's more like you're networking with them, seeing that it matches as a case study to that market report and then submitting that data.
Right. To tell them they're crazy.
Can I just do a random shout out to Ashley Edwards here, who is actually targeted on the number of calls she makes per month. I've just assumed that's a she. It can be a boy, can't it? I'm going with the pink thing. And but that's wow. Because I know tons of in-house recruiters and sources who will not use the phone. They're too scared to use the phone. So
but it's interesting, hires and calls, those are so different.
Yeah.
But she admits it's tough.
Yeah, for sure. I especially think on the hire side, because I think, well, the calls thing you can fake. That's the worst thing with that. But the hire side, there's so many other factors.
Right, that are out of your control.
Yeah, it's like the hiring manager being a douchebag and recruiter not doing their job and all that kind of stuff.
Or they could just close the rec after you've done all your work and because they decide they don't need the role or something. And you've done all the work.
Look what Ashley just wrote. It's a challenge when my recruiter doesn't have any open jobs as well. Jeez. Oh my God, crazy. Wow. So, and Christy's written at Pontoon, we all have different clients and requirements. So we all individually set our daily, weekly goals based off our clients' current needs. Some set phone call goals and some set data mining goals. It all just depends. So you guys are RPO, are you? I'm starting to work this out.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, RPO and MSP. But we do all
look this stuff up first going forward. So Rob thinks you should be on commission. Are you on that as well? That's a personal question.
Yeah.
No. Not an RPO.
Rob, I think she needs to come and work for you on commission.
I've got a question, Dani. When you do phone calls, do you call when they're at work or at night?
So what I do is I usually will email them and set up a time that I'll speak with them. And then they'll be able to get away. When it comes to people working, I will not email them at work and I will not call them at work because I don't want to interfere with their job. So that's how I feel about it.
So you'll call them. What if they don't respond with a time to call and you keep following up? Do you ever just call randomly or no? Well, not unless they set it up.
Yeah, sometimes I'll call and just leave a voicemail if I'm desperate or if they're not responsive. So, and I'll just leave a voicemail if they don't answer, or if they do answer, then I'll say my whole spiel and then see if they're interested and go from there. So
from the time
and
you
set up a different time to call.
up to the time you call, how long do you leave?
How long what?
Do you leave? So if you did email somebody to set up
They
a call and then you just decided to call them, how long would you leave? Like in hours, minutes? This is a leading question.
Depends. If I have a giant pool of candidates, I might not call them at all that day. But if it's like a very niche role, I might call them the following day or maybe later in the day. But usually I give them at least 24 hours or maybe 48 hours to respond before I give them a call.
I had somebody send me a LinkedIn message and then literally call me like 1 minute later going, I just messaged you on LinkedIn. Could we discuss this? I went, no. And then the shock when I said I'm busy, because I only answered thinking it was a client because it was a mobile number or cell. And
generally I'm not calling them.
But Louise, I've got your number on my phone, you daft woman. But it was like, oh my God, just give me time to reply to you and say when I'm free.
Yeah.
So
that's just too aggressive.
Yeah, I think it's just cordial to do it that way.
And now I don't want to talk to him at all because I'm like, God, give him some time.
Right.
And sometimes you just take a hint. You're like, okay, this candidate's obviously not interested. They haven't responded to anything that I've done. So
But I love that you try different channels. So many recruiters just keep trying the same one. So that's really cool that you're being really creative there. Lee has a great question.
Here.
Yeah, go.
Yeah, do you ever text people if you have their cell phone?
I don't. I know a lot of people, I saw a webinar about it and they love to text and they get a lot of responses. And I'm thinking, this was in Pittsburgh, I think. So I think that in different markets it might work, but I don't generally text. No.
Yeah.
Yeah, good point. It depends on the job type.
Yeah, I've had texts while I've been on this thing, which has been quite weird.
I think that would piss me off if a recruiter texted me, but that could just be me.
There you go. It works in Indonesia and China. And WeChat and WhatsApp, for sure. I think it works. I think it
good for certain roles.
And actually, speaking of texting,
sorry.
I know, I think WeChat's the same. It's certainly WhatsApp and of course Messenger. Well, not with a message request, but like a normal messenger, you can see if someone's read it. So of course there's that pressure to answer as well. So that's why I quite like texting. Yeah, because there's very few people who've got read receipts on an iPhone, for example. So I think it has its place. Like everything, you've got to try different avenues, don't you?
Yeah, absolutely.
What's been
that is the worst when you see that they've seen it but they don't reply.
I was wondering yesterday. There was someone I didn't want to answer yesterday because I was really busy, and I was like, then I felt pressure to answer because I'd read it, and it's like, I wish there was a way to actually read that and not show. No, only not your settings on Messenger, unfortunately. Yeah. So what's been
Facebook, right?
your proudest moment in sourcing world, like your most creative outreach, or your just most something that worked, or like if you were to look back?
That's like a loaded question. I don't know. To me, it's just if I find that candidate and it took everything to find it, or it was the spot on candidate that no one else could find. Yeah. That's like my favorite moment. And my other favorite moment is when you get a response from the person you originally sourced that says, thank you so much. Like, I wouldn't have this job without you, like initially reaching out to me. So yeah, those are my favorite. I love helping people. And I feel like sometimes, that's my point of being, in touch with people, because I feel like a lot of people in this industry, they just drop off and they just let people drop off. And I think it's good just to help them. I mean, that's what we're here for. And they don't look at it like that. They look at it like a paycheck. So.
Yeah. I think there is something so joyous when you get that feedback from people who change their careers. What's Dan written here? So working on internal talent acquisition, does it ever cause any conflict with co-workers that makes your searches difficult by changing requirements or anything like that? Ooh. Do you mean as in the new person might be being paid more or coming into a senior role? You might need to explain more there, Dan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, Elzette, I missed the previous screen. Yeah, sorry. We're talking about Messenger, being able to read it without I missed it. I couldn't get all the message.
So you clicked?
I was only because I was busy and I wanted to see if it was urgent, but then I felt like I then had to answer. It was just like, it's this weird pressure that comes over when it's Messenger. And
yeah, well, that's why they do it. It's smart.
Yeah, true. I could have just written, have to answer you later. It's quite cool.
Yeah.
I know. That would have been polite.
Said I'm in the loop.
Busy. Can't talk right now.
Yeah.
Oh, dear. So we're running out of time already. Can you believe it? I'm going to ask you a leading question because this is the topic for next week. What, in your personal opinion, is the difference between sourcing and recruiting?
Good question.
I mean, it's really just creating a streamlined process. It's an initial outreach to get the candidate interested, and it might be that you're sharing the job link to apply, and it might be that you're reaching out to them to see if they're interested, and then having a small conversation with them to then pass them on to the recruiter. From there, the recruiter takes over. They're working with the hiring manager. They're interviewing the candidates. They're passing candidates that are fit onto the hiring manager, and any candidates that aren't a fit, they're coming back to me. They're saying, hey, this candidate isn't a fit because of this feedback the hiring manager gave me, pretty much. So that's kind of the difference.
Yeah, that sounds what I would think. But I'm quite looking forward to that because it could be such a debate. Yeah. And then what sources should do? Should sources make contact or not make contact? What should they do? I can't wait.
Yeah, some people have some real opinions about that. Or like, you know, some people have real opinions like sources should never be on the phone. And like I've had issues in the past for myself. I'm on the phone asking questions, and then sometimes my recruiter's like, well, now what do I ask them? So there's all kinds of things that you can really debate. So that should be interesting.
Yeah, I know. So that's Susanna Fraser next week. So that should be quite fun, a lot of fun. I want to go back to Dan's question here. When the person you're working with to fill a role, essentially the hiring manager in the situation. Now, I still don't think we're getting it, but he has said he's going to reach out to you. But that could be just me being dumb on a Friday afternoon because you guys are still in the morning and I'm way into the afternoon. So
she's waiting for her beer.
I'm just it's like really hot here as well for London. So where I'm sitting is like really warm. I'm just like, hence the hair went up. I was like, I can't sit here with my hair down. So
Dani, I have one question though. Do you think that sources and recruiters have to have very different personalities, or do you think the same person could easily just do either job?
Do you mean like getting along, or do you mean doing?
No, I mean like, because I feel like, and I could be wrong, but sourcers don't necessarily have to be like good salespeople. They're more like researchers and like digging but I could be wrong. Where I feel like recruiters might not be interested in the digging, or they might just be good at closing.
Yeah. I think that there's a lot of that. I think that there could be, like, for me, I could probably do the full cycle process and be fine with it. But I think that there's some sourcers that are just simply, I want to source. I want to find those candidates. And I think there's some recruiters that are like, dude, you just source. I will just do my job. You just source, because I do not want to do that.
Yeah.
So
yeah, you do seem like a good balance. Where I do see some of more one way or the other, you seem kind of in the middle, which is great.
Yeah.
I think with the so like I would fall very much in the full cycle. I would get very frustrated if I was just sourcing all day. I enjoy that bit, but I don't want to do it all day. And I think because it does involve having that constant research head on, and I can only do that for set periods of time. So, but interesting. I mean, I agree. I think it's
See, I think I'd love to do that all day, but I wouldn't want to be like doing the negotiation with people. So
there's something really, really exciting about though hearing someone say yes and then bringing them on board. So I don't know.
Yeah. That makes sense.
Yeah.
We're out of time. That went so fast.
Yeah, thank you, Dani.
The faster these shows, the more we do of them, they just go. So nice to meet you in person. Well, in person,
yes.
But I'm going to get you to SourceCon in Seattle. This is my mission, to get you to Seattle, because I know I'm going to be there. So I'm going to get you there. I'm going to make that happen.
Yes.
I've done it for others. So.
When is Seattle? Is that early next year?
Let's go with early next year, because I don't know. So, but thank you again for all your pearls of wisdom as well, and letting us look out your window. I spent a lot of time looking past your head, which is really rude.
That was fun. Thank you.
Thank you again. I shall see you on Instagram at Sourcing Dani.
All right. Bye.
Bye.
Yes. Thanks, Dani.
Bye, Audra.
Thanks, everyone.
Good weekend, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.